Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome once again to my channel and to my little apartment. My name is Daniel. I'm a Latino from Colombia living in Europe for the last 10 years. Last time I made a video about telling you how I relocated from Colombia to Europe, like my journey. So I was giving you a couple of ideas, tips, and information in general in case you were looking forward to travel or relocate to Europe. Right now, I'm living in Vienna, Austria, but I lived in a couple of cities in Poland, Germany, UK, and the US. So my previous video aroused many questions about relocating to Europe. Money, how much do you need? Studying, working, everything about finances, relocating, like looking for a house, a share flat, language, like do you need language, visas, residence permit, like there are many things to talk about, but I don't want to make this video too long. That's why I'm going to split into specific topics. Important topic for today, housing. It doesn't matter where you come from, this is important for you. Where are you going to live? How to look for an apartment, a share flat, a house, a room. What? How much it is to rent an apartment, a room. How much do I have to pay in front? How much deposit do I have to pay? I'm going to tell you. Scam. What websites can I use to look for apartments in a safe way so that they don't scam me? My dears, get your coffee because we are about to start. Okay, now let's go slowly. When you come from a different country, usually you are not going to have the time nor the means to go to the city you are planning to live and actually explore the city, attend some appointments where you can see the apartments and you can actually meet the owners. You cannot do that. Why? Because you live in a different country. That was the thing that I did the first time that I was moving from Colombia. How am I going to go to Europe for a couple of days just to check apartments and come back? Like, that's just not realistic. When you are in Europe, you can do that. I did that when I was coming from Poland to Germany. So actually I had some appointments because it's extremely hard. So one thing you have to understand is everything changes from city to city. There are some cities in which the demand for apartments and houses is too high. Example, Berlin was one of the hardest ones. It was extremely hard in Berlin, or Munich, for example. Vienna is also, it's not easy. Why? Because many people are relocating into these cities. Therefore, sometimes the prices are getting high in the cool places of the city because it's full of students. So that's why the landlords, they are taking the rents up. And even if you think like, oh my God, that is so expensive per month, there is always one student coming from somewhere who is willing to pay that because he needs to study or he needs to live close to the university. So they are in the more central areas of the city. So there is somebody always willing to pay that price. That's why the rental prices in some cities are getting too high. Number two, the amount of people going to that city. So for example, Berlin for me is the perfect example to my experience because it's like at some point, everyone wanted to go to Berlin to study, to work, to be there for a couple of months. And therefore, looking for an apartment, it was super hard. I had to go because online, it was not enough. So you had to get appointments. So that's one of the things. You have to get appointments. You have to go and check it. There are a couple of documents that you have to bring. They are not difficult documents, but they are documents about like your personal presentation. It's like your presentation letter. You say who you are, what you do, what's your job, why are you coming to the city, that you want to take care of the apartment, that you are not going to be a party animal every weekend in the apartment, that you're going to be quiet, not noisy, you are not going to disturb the neighborhood, etc., etc. Also in this personal presentation, you try to outstand your values and your principles, like you want the owner to like you. So you don't say like, oh, I'm going to be a party animal every weekend. No, you say like, I'm going to be quiet, I'm going to be respectful for the apartment and for my neighbors, etc. So it's like a presentation letter about you. Usually, in order to ensure the financial income so that they know that you're going to pay the rent without issue, you have to bring the contract from the company or place you're going to be working and where you see the salary. So they know that you are going to have money to pay the rent. Number three, there are a couple of extra documents. For example, the Schufa. This is only from Germany. I never experienced anyone asking me that in England, in Poland, here in Austria, or in the US. And the Schufa is basically like a criminal record, but for banking, so that they see that you are clean in the banks, that you don't have a big debt, or that you have a huge loan that you're paying. So they want to see that you're kind of stable financially. Another extra paper that is very common for landlords to ask you is a criminal record, but about the police. But that's very easy, and hopefully you are clean. So wherever you're coming from, you have to ask a criminal record from that country and bring it. Now, careful with this. If you are in Europe, that's kind of easier, because usually the places like the police things online, the websites, usually they issue these documents in English. But if you are from South America, example me, from Colombia, when I did it the first time coming to England, I had to do it. Those documents, you have to translate them with a sworn translator, certified translator, so that they translate these documents legally into English, okay, or into German, or into Polish. So you have to translate these documents. Don't forget this. So I'm telling you this because you might wonder, like, oh my God, but my friend who went to the south of Portugal got an apartment super easily, but me that I want to go to central London is so hard. Yeah, I'm telling you, different cities, different demands. In some cities, the demand of tourists and people relocating is lower, so that's easier to find an apartment. But if you go to a hot city, a hot capital, well, things are going to be a little bit slower, but everything is possible. Now, before talking about the websites, which is one of the most important pieces of information that you can have, I'm going to tell you something about money. This is something that I mentioned last time as well in my previous video. Usually in Central Europe, you have the rent. So let's suppose let's be realistic. Let's talk about my apartment, this one that I have right now. This is an apartment studio. Maybe I'm going to give you a little tour about it. I have a living room that has a kitchen, and the living room is, for me, is very spacious. It's pretty okay. I have a shower. I have the toilet. I have my bedroom, plus my desk and my little studio to work. And I have a balcony that I think is very spacious for a studio. It's very okay. The apartment was new. I am the first tenant. The building was built only a year ago. So I was literally, when I came, it still smelled like paint. It was totally new. It's high standard. The building has 6 floors. There is an elevator. There is basement. I have my bike in my balcony, but I also have a place in the basement, like in the bike parking space. If I have a car, I can pay a little bit extra, and I can have a parking space in the parking lot in the basement. And there are cameras. So yeah, I think the standard is pretty okay. Now, how much do I pay for this apartment here in Vienna? I am paying exactly 750 euros. 750 euros per month. However, this is not the only price that I had to pay. When you come to Europe, almost in every country, you always have to pay your rent. So that's one thing. So let's give something like my price, 750. Boom. That's the rental price every month. That's what you pay every month, 750. But before moving, you have to pay something that is called the caution or the deposit, right? Those are 2 terms that you always see in the lease contracts. Caution or deposit. And usually it is 2 or 3 times the rent. And what is the deposit? In case you don't know, the caution or the deposit, this is the money that the landlord saves in case you have an accident in your apartment. So they use that money to cover any extra, any something that you broke. Accidentally, you broke the fridge. Accidentally, you were playing football in your living room and you broke a window. Accidentally, you dropped something and you broke the tiles, the floor. Accidentally, you broke something in the bathroom. So the landlord is going to use this money to pay that, to cover that. At the end, when you leave your apartment, they give you back this deposit. For example, in my experience, it was in England. When I was moving to Poland, I was living in Leicester. And I had also a studio. I was studying in England, so I had a studio. And in this place, I had a deposit. It was 2 times rent. But I was hanging like paintings in my walls because I was decorating like this thing. I was hanging little things. Look, in my walls, I have little things. Usually those walls, they give you the walls clean. I mean, they paint and renovate the walls. And then with the holes, with the needles, then you make holes. So you have to cover the holes. And actually you cannot do that. Even if you cover the holes there are a couple of materials that you can use to cover holes. You can see them. So the landlord say like, I'm sorry, but I have to repaint the wall. Where is the money coming from to repaint the wall? From my deposit, because I destroyed the wall. So you see, it was not much, but it's for you to have an idea of how landlords use the deposit. Now, if you didn't destroy anything, or maybe you clean and cover everything before you hand back the apartment for living, then they give you the deposit totally to your bank account. You get it back, no problem. Now, in Germany, it was 2 times. Here in Vienna, for this apartment, I had to give my deposit. It was 3 times the rent. So it was 750 the rent plus 3 times the rent. That was the deposit. So the deposit right now is in the hands of my landlord, and he has it. I'm gonna get it back once I move. So this is for you to think about finances. Every time that you look online and you see a room, for example, you are looking for in London, in Munich, you want to go to Warsaw, you are going to Zurich or Vienna, and you see a room in a share flat. Oh, the room is 350, 400 euros. Super. Wait a second. Remember, that's the rental price. That's the price that you're gonna pay every month. But you have to also consider that you might have to give a deposit. So you need that price 2 or 3 more times. So that's for you to know about money. So you have to save money in advance. Yes, there are many scams and there are some landlords that are bullshit. That happens. There are good people and there are bad people. And we have to know how to protect ourselves. In Poland was the only time that I felt scammed. And I moved to Poland the first time and I moved to a share flat. By the way, pro tip, take notes. When you move to a country for the very first time, you don't know the language, maybe you've never been in the country, you are a little bit lost. One of the best advices that I can give you, because that's what I've done almost every time that I move for the first time to a new country, a new city, is that I live in a share flat. That's the best thing. Why? Number one, you are alone. So you are going to be actually meeting people from the first second you move into the city. Somebody's going to open the door for you. Usually there are other students or people who are also foreigners, like expats living in that flat. So they can give you the first welcome to the place. From them you can get the first information about. So it's like we have questions. Sometimes you don't imagine, but when you arrive to a city for the first time, you don't know where the bakery is. You don't know where the supermarket is. You don't know how much the ticket for the bus is. You don't know where to buy the ticket. You don't know where the closest train station is. You don't know like anything. Yes, you can use Google Maps, but there are some things that is better when the locals tell you. They know more. They are more experienced in the city and they can give you the shortcuts right away. Secondly, is the cheapest option when you rent a room. So you can go to the place and rent a room as the cheapest option. And thirdly, and more important, this is the most important thing. When you live in a share flat for the first, let's say 3 months, perfect, 3 months, you get to know the city. And then you can decide where you want to live. You're going to have an idea of the neighborhoods, the districts. Maybe you want to live close to your workplace, or you want to live close to your university or the place where you are going to study, and you want to check the place around. So you see, living in a share flat is cheap. You get information about the city and you can explore the city. Later on, you can choose where you want to live. Because one of the biggest things is choosing where. And that's hard. When you don't know the city, how do you know where to live? How do you know that is a good place, a bad place? That place is far away, that place is close. Is that convenient? So when you have a grasp, a vibe of the city, then later on you can choose where to live. So pro tip, when you're gonna come for the first time, sharing a flat with other people would be really cool. So I was telling you, so when I came to Poland, I felt scammed the first time that I was living in a share flat. Well, one, because I didn't know Polish at all. By the way, it's one of the hardest languages ever. And then after 6 months, because that was my plan, 6 months, I decided to leave because I found a studio in a cool neighborhood that I saw. And I made appointments and I was like, oh, super, I'm ready to move. I like this place, I like the studio, I'm ready. I talked to the landlord of the room that I was renting, and he came to the room one day without noticing. He just came to the room. He knocked at my door, at my room. I opened the door and I was like, oh, I want to check. And he was very, very specifically checking everything. And he said that I scratched the door of the closet. he said that this and that. So he made up a couple of excuses to take some money from my rent. Then he checked the contract with me, and they were like, the little details about like scratching, being dirty, not having this, not having that, blah, blah, blah. And at the end, he took some money. I didn't know how to defend myself because I felt like, oh, damn. So in case that happens to you, there is something that you should know. Number one, this might be obvious, but if I'm telling you, it's because some people are making these mistakes. Do not sign any contract before you check the place. Period. You don't put your signature and you don't give bank account numbers. You don't pay money before you see the place. You have to go physically look at the place, look at the description of the place matches the description that they had online. You have to make sure that usually they give you the contract, you have a copy, you can read it. If it's in German, in Polish, in French, in Italian, you have time to translate it. Read carefully. If you don't know, ask somebody to help you reading it. Where, for example, in Poland, the second time that I was moving to my second apartment, because I lived in 4 apartments, I lived in Poland 4 years, it was like an apartment per year. I was asking my colleagues at work to actually help me reading. And they were telling me this and that. They helped me a lot. Number 2, I don't know why people are not talking about this, but I'm going to tell you this. You have to make sure with your landlord and the contract, the lease contract, that everything is clear about when you can leave the apartment and what is the procedure to leave the apartment. I have heard stories about a couple of my friends, also students that are living in Europe, and they told me about this, that one day they said like, oh, I found a new place, or I'm moving with my girlfriend. I'm going to live with some friends. I'm going to live in my whatever. They're going to move out. And then the landlord says, oh, but wait a second, because this is the contract. But here says specifically that you had to live here for the following 2 years. So you didn't know, and you had to live there for 2 years, right? So you have to make sure that it says, like your plan. I guess the best thing is that the contract is yearly, like every year you renew it. I think it's very risky to sign contracts a long term, like 2 years, 3 years. You don't know what's going to happen in 2 years. So 1 year is enough. And secondly, about the same thing, and third, about the same thing, you have to make sure that every year the price is the same. You heard right, the price is the same. I've heard about some people scamming other students usually, or people who come from South America that we don't know much about Europe and how things work. And then in the contract, in a weird place, says that every year the rent is going to increase 1%, 2%, 0. Whatever percent. But you have to pay attention to that. You have to make sure that it's the same price every year. Now, can landlords change the price? Yes, they can, but they have to give you a notice. So, for example, I remember when I was in Poland in 2020, during the pandemic, 2020, 2021, because of the pandemic, the landlord told me, but it was 6 months before in advance. He told me that in 6 months he had to increase the price of renting by blah, blah, blah %. And it was not much. And I saw the situation with the pandemic, the COVID and all that. I agreed and I said like, no issue. Okay. For me, it was okay. But that's the procedure. They have to let you know if they're going to make changes in the price many months before. Let's go to the topic you want. Let's talk about the website so you can start checking them out. I have 2 websites that for sure, at least from my side, I cannot talk crap about them because they work for me almost every time. And to be honest, I already lost my count of how many apartments I've lived in, and I've used the same websites and I've never been scammed with these ones. These websites work anywhere, like Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Poland, I guess in most Europe. So probably you're not going to have an issue. But again, I repeat, I use these ones mostly in Germany, Poland, England, and Austria. So, number 1 that I think is very okay to use is housinganywhere.com. Housinganywhere.com. This is one. I'm going to give the links down there in case you want to check them out. Just for your curiosity, you can check it out. You can check the prices of, share rooms, apartments, houses, etc. And the second one that probably is my favorite one that I used here and in Germany is the WG Gesucht. This one. This one is the one that I used the first time that I came to Germany and the first time that I came to Austria, and it was really cool. Now, I'm really sorry. Now, we all talk about our experiences, and there is one website that I don't recommend. Why? Because for me, it didn't work. It was very sketchy. It didn't give me good vibes, and I've heard stories about it's not cool. That sometimes what you see in the website, the pictures, the this and that, when you go to the actual place, is not the same. It's not as cool. And the place is spotahome.com. You can check it. Maybe you have, probably some of you are going to be like, oh, Spotahome is amazing. Yeah, super for you. In my case, it was not okay. But there you go. You have 3 websites that I know that are well known. People are using them. You can check them out, but I recommend these 2. They work for me. No scams, everything legal, all good. Now, how do they work? So I'm going to talk about the vegan because I think it's a very cool website. So how it works is there are people who are landlords, right? They own places. And by this, I mean houses, apartments, and rooms in shared flats. And they advertise their property with the prices, with the description. You have to read the description because sometimes they allow pets, or maybe not. Sometimes they allow smoking in the balcony, or sometimes they say like no smoking at all. Sometimes they even say that this share flat is only for girls. Sometimes they say this share flat is only for LGBT community. So the description is very specific, and you might want to know about it. So what they do is that they post the property, and then you have to. So these people post the property with pictures, description, everything you need to know. If you are interested in that room, in that apartment, in that studio, in that house, you have to text them through the website, like a message, and you say who you are. Obviously, you are trying to sell yourself because you need that place, right? So you have to say things cool about yourself, right? Let's talk about share flats. You are going to live with 2 or 3 more people, sometimes more, but I recommend, more than that is very chaotic. So I think that living in a share flat 4 people is really cool. 3 people, fine. 4, I think, is pretty okay. So the person says like, look, I have an extra room in the apartment. In this apartment, there are 3 more students from different countries living there in the ages 20 to 25. Cool. Fine. Then you have to write a letter saying like, hi, my name is Sofia. I am going to relocate to Berlin. I'm looking for a flat like this one. I would love to live in a place like this. I am respectful. I am okay living with people from different cultures, different countries. I am okay with LGBT. I am okay with the language. I speak English. So you try to tell information about yourself. I am chilled. I am not noisy. I'm not a, super drunkaholic. Try to sell yourself. I am open-minded. I like to talk. So you try to show yourself as a friendly person. That's the first one. And obviously, if I am renting a flat to somebody who is not that, why would I want that person in my apartment? So short description. So you say, yeah, I would love to have some feedback. I would like to get in contact with you, etc., etc. And number 2, you have to upload some documents. Usually, is the presentation letter. What I told you. So in Word, you have to create a presentation letter where you say the purpose of coming to the city, what university are you going to be studying in, or if you're going to work, where are you going to be working at? You state that you have financial means to cover the rent and deposit with no issue, that you don't bring any pets, etc., etc. Information about that. And then they might ask for, in Germany, maybe your Schufa is a bank statement, maybe a police record. Sometimes they ask for it. But basically that's it. And usually for apartments for workers, not a student's flat, but workers, like people over 25, 30 years old, they ask for the work contract. So they want to make sure that you are working, that you are employed. So it means that you have your documents, your visa, employment, salary, everything on point. Now, I want to come back to one of my previous points about how to check the place. There are a couple of ways. obviously, if you are already in the city, what you do is that you have appointments with landlords or the people who are in charge of showing you the property, the room, the apartment, whatever it is. And you have an appointment, you meet the person gives you a tour around the apartment, gives you information about anything you need to know about the apartment or the flat. Simple. Usually in share flats, you just have to go to the place, and usually the people who are living there are choosing who is their next flatmate, which is one of the coolest things. I've done that. Sometimes one of our friends leaves, so there is one room extra there, and we have appointments, and we are there, and people just come. Boys and girls come. We say hi, hello, we introduce, we check the vibe, we see if we like the person, if we see that we can get along with, we show the room, we shake hands, super. Sometimes we can share a coffee, and that's how it is. And at the end, we choose the person who we want for that flat. But that's easy. I mean, that's easy in that sense of checking the place. Two difficult things. One is that sometimes they have open views. Open views is that they don't give you an appointment, but they just say, because there are many people looking for that place. Example, this happens a lot here in Vienna, in Munich, in Zurich, in Berlin happens a lot, in Krakow happens, that the amount of people who wants that studio or that room or that flat, whatever, is a lot. So the landlord cannot give individual appointments to everyone. So what he does is that one day, so he collects the information, all the emails from people interested in that property, and he says, look, on Monday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. is going to be open day, which means that the apartment is open for everyone. And you can come, you have to queue, and one by one you can come, you say hi to the owner, but you just check the place around, you give documents to the owner, usually your presentation letter, and you leave. That's how it is. Now, why is this hard? I'm going to show you a couple of pictures. Like places like Berlin or London, oh my God. Sometimes the queues are freaking long. They go down to the apartment, to the street, and they go around the corner because people are interested in that. Students or couples looking for their new apartment. And it's long. You have to be there like early because you don't want to be the last one. And also, you have to present yourself as a very nice person. Try to talk to the owner. I've done that. Try to talk to, when you go to these places, try to say, hi, nice to meet you, and say something that they can remember you. For example, I say something, I don't know if this is good or bad, but they remember me. I say, hi, I am from Colombia, I love coffee and this and that, and I'm gonna love the place. And so later on, when I'm texting, I can say, hey, this is Daniel. I just want to check a follow-up in the process. I am the Colombian guy who loves coffee. I say hi to you on Friday, so I want to check how is it going with the procedure of choosing the person. I want to know if I am selected. So you see, say something. If you are quiet, they are not going to remember. Try to be friendly, etc., etc. So that's one thing. If you are checking like open days for an apartment, try to be early, and you have to be, you have to be conscious that there's going to be maybe a huge line of people checking the same apartment. So the competition is high. And second hard thing is when you are not in the country or in the city. Example, us Latinos, that we are across the ocean. Obviously, you cannot come to check the place. So what you do is that you check the place online, you request pictures, you request the contract, and they can give you a copy of the contract, you can check it out. And if everything goes well, you can pay in front either one piece of the deposit or a little money, like to make sure that you say, like, look, I'm gonna be there on November the 1st. So you give some money in front. This is risky, yes. Hopefully with these websites, it seems that is okay. But there are scams. This is a risky thing because you never know. Hackers, people online are getting smarter and smarter, and sometimes websites look amazing and they are scams. But this is how you do it. So you have to put some money in front so that they save the apartment for you, and when you come, you get it. You check it. Now, there are a couple of good things and bad things about this. Good thing is that you have a place to arrive. Good. Bad thing is, once you arrive, you already pay some of the deposit. So it's kind of, you already ensure that the apartment is yours, you're going to take it. But maybe what about if there is an issue with the apartment? You cannot complain much because you just came from Colombia. You came to Munich. You don't know anything about the city. You just came to the apartment and you don't like it. How can you say, no, I'm not going to take it? Are you going to look for a hotel right away? Like you just came from a long flight without knowing anything about the city. It's risky. Now, there is a second thing, like a plan B for this situation. I didn't do this. Actually, I took the risk of actually coming the first time. When I moved to England, first I lived in the campus of the university, so it was totally safe. But then when I moved to Poland, I did like that. I put some money in front, and fortunately everything was kind of safe. But then the scammer happened to me when I wanted to leave. He took some of my deposit, but okay, that's not too bad as other people's experiences. The plan B that you can have to ensure that everything is safe for you is you can put some money in front. Not much. You can negotiate sometimes. You can say like, look, I'm going to give you half of the deposit just for you to save the apartment for me to this date. If I don't come, you take it because obviously it will be your responsibility. But what you can do is that you can have an Airbnb or a hostel for a week, for example, for you to arrive, and that's safe. My sister did that. A couple of friends have done that. It's okay. So you're going to move to Munich. This is your apartment. But just in case, you are going to rent an Airbnb to arrive for a week. You come to the Airbnb, you leave your luggage, everything, then you come and check the apartment. If everything is okay, done. You sign the contract, the paperwork, all good. If there is something wrong, or you feel there is a scam, or actually is a scam and the apartment doesn't even exist, at least you are safe. It's not that you are in the street like homeless. You have a Airbnb, then plan B. Plan B, start looking for, now it's easier. You start looking for places and you can say like, hey, I'm here in the city. Can I check your place? Now I can go tomorrow morning. You have to move quick, but you have an option. Now let's start wrapping up. Before talking about the money, which is important, so you have an idea of how much things are, let me tell you something about the contract. In many contracts, because of the season in Europe that we don't have in South America, like winter and summer, most of those extremes, winter and summer, sometimes the price for water and electricity might change. So this is different from the rent, but this is something that you have to know because sometimes they mention this in the rent and for you not to get confused. There is something that is called cold rent and warm rent because of summer and winter. And why do things change? Because usually winter is a little bit more expensive in terms of services because you use more warm water. Sometimes it's freaking -10 outside and you need to go to work or you come back from work and it's freaking cold. Now, to finish this video about housing, let me talk about finances, money, how much money you actually need. I don't want to check the website right now because you can do that by yourself. You can explore the website, check prices, places. I'm going to tell you what I have paid. So this is my experience. For share flats meaning you're going to have a room. Sometimes the rooms are too different. Sometimes the rooms are very small. Literally it's like the bed, a small desk, and a closet. Simple. Sometimes it's the bed, the closet, you have a desk. Sometimes you have the bed, the closet, a desk, and you have a balcony or a big window. Every room is different. Some rooms are bigger, smaller, etc., etc. But considering that you're a student, you don't need much to come. The idea is to go for the cheapest option to save money, to check the places, and probably you don't need much. You have only your luggage, so it's not that you're gonna have tons of clothes and stuff. The rent for a share flat room for a student or a worker who is coming for the first time to a city, Central Europe, is gonna be something around 200 to 350. I guess that's a safe price that I can give you from my experience. I know some of you are going to say, yeah, I got a room for 20 euros. Well, super. I don't know where and when, but yes, I know probably they exist. I don't know. Because there are always people, oh, I got it for 100 euros, for 200. Yes. Maybe there is, and actually if you check the website, sometimes you're going to see rooms for 200 euros and you're like, what? This is so cheap. then you check the location and you have to take like 5 trains to go from that room to your university or to work. It's freaking far away, or it's in a neighborhood that is freaking isolated, far. I mean, there are different circumstances, but I'm talking about like normal rentals that you can go to your university, work by bike, by metro, by tram, by bus, normal locations around, the center of the city. 200 to 350 is something that you can expect to pay. Now, this can change depending on the city. In Berlin, this might be difficult, or you have to live very far from the center. In Berlin, for example, what I paid the first time that I came was between 550 to 650. That was the normal thing for a room. It's expensive? Oh yes, very expensive. Why? What I told you, the demand is high and many students are coming to Berlin, so it's really high. But you can get rooms for 400 probably, for 300 maybe. Small rooms close to the city, yeah, they exist, but you have to move quickly. And probably online is going to be very hard. You have to be in Berlin, so you can actually go, have appointments, and actually go to the place and talk to the owner and pay in front, like now. But online, only online, if you're coming from South America, it's going to be hard. So something around 550, 650 is what you pay for a room. If you go for a studio, obviously the studio depends on the location and how big it is. In my experience, every time that I lived in a studio is between 800 to 1,000. Many people say like, oh, that's impossible. You can get them more expensive. Yes, but I'm not looking for that. Yes, you can get studios, apartments for 1,500. Super cool studios in a very cool building, in a very cool place of the city, very modern, huge windows, high ceiling, balcony. That's not what I'm looking for. If you have the financial means to pay this, good for you. I don't look for that. For the studio, I wanted to find something little less than 1,000. Is it possible? Oh yes, it is. For a studio. Now, some studios are smaller or bigger depending on the location. Prices change, but closer to the city, a studio that has like a small living room with your kitchen and a small place for like the bedroom. That's the normal thing. Yeah. If it's a little bit out of the main center of the city, you can have the same for it to be cheaper. I like it. And the normal thing is to have the student studios where everything is in one room. And that can be a good option as well. It's like the same living room and the kitchen is the same bedroom. So you have your bed in front of the kitchen. It's a very small place, but this can be the perfect place to start. It's totally okay. And it's literally 750, 800 euros. That's something that you can expect. Now, houses and apartments, I'm sorry, I'm not the right to give you that information because I've never rented a full apartment. I mean with a partner. I only live with a partner in Poland, like in our apartment. And the rental, but in Poland was around 2.5 thousand zlotys, which is something around 1,000, but probably the price in Vienna or in Munich is going to be way higher, but I don't know much about that because I haven't done that here. In houses, also, I'm sorry, I don't have the information about prices about renting a house. You have to look that yourself. I know about rooms and studios. That's my thing. What can you expect in your studio? Usually in a chair flat, the kitchen is fully equipped. So you have your fridge, usually you have oven or a microwave, you have a little dining table, the bathroom has everything needed, and the same with the studio. So because some people are like, oh my God, but do I need to get a washing machine? No. Obviously, if you want it unfurnished because you want to buy everything from scratch, good. I don't recommend this. You don't need that. Maybe you can do that once you live in the place and now you want to build your apartment. In the beginning, you just get your studio, even like this one that is new, but it brings the fridge, the microwave, the oven, a dishwasher, a washing machine, etc. Everything is there. Everything is right there. So basically, you need nothing. Now another thing. Now, if the apartment is new, like this one, is empty. Empty meaning there are not even lamps. I had to buy my lamps. But in most furnished studios, you have a bed, you have a desk, you have a dining table. Everything is usually there and you just have to move your clothes in. In this case, I didn't want that because now I've gained experience. It's been 10 years. This is my 5th country. So now in this apartment, everything that you see, my bed, my desk, my tent, I got it myself because that's what I wanted. I wanted a totally empty and furnished place with all the equipment, but in terms of the furniture, I wanted to build it myself. But that you don't have to do that. And the last topic would be location. How can you look for the best neighborhood, district in the city or country you plan to travel to or relocate to? And in this one, I'm gonna go easy cheesy. There is something that I didn't have the first time that when I was coming from Colombia, and also I was not using it when I was when I was coming from England to Poland. I barely use it from Poland to Germany. Maybe I used it a little bit more from Germany to Austria, and it is TikTok, social media, because I was using blogs, like people writing, and in Google I was checking people writing about every district, cities, cons and pros about this. Now that's every day somebody's doing that in TikTok. So just go to TikTok, watch. There are very cool people being honest and telling you about the main capitals. If you're going, I don't know, to Lisbon, to Madrid, to Berlin, to Austria, to Zurich, to Warsaw, to Brussels, to Amsterdam, Paris, anywhere, literally anywhere, somebody already did a video in TikTok about the best places to live, the good neighborhoods, the bad neighborhoods, the cheap neighborhoods, the most expensive neighborhoods, the everything. So in this one, I don't think I have to tell you much. Probably TikTok is the best way. YouTube. People are making videos like vlogs about cities very well. I really hope that at some point I can give that entertainment because I'm not an influencer. I'm not a blogger. I'm trying, but there are some people that are really good walking around the cities showing you stuff. Go ahead, watch them. So right now, like about location, places in a very specific city, just go and check blogs from people in TikTok and YouTube. Yes, with this, I'm gonna close this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna ask you a favor. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, because this is going to help me a lot. In the comments, please give me more ideas. Ask me questions because that's the information I'm gathering to make more like new videos that are gonna be useful for you. I'm gonna read you, I'm gonna check them out, and yeah, maybe I'm gonna see you probably next time with another video about books, reading, about vlogging in Vienna, traveling, whatever you might need. We keep in touch. My social media, merakium.merakium. Go check out my poems in TikTok and stuff. Give me a follow, subscribe to this channel so you know when I'm posting new videos. And nothing. Keep it cool. Bye bye.